Well, first of all, good afternoon. We have called for this press conference in order to make an important announcement regarding the arrest and filing of charges in the recent robberies of restaurants on the East Chicago side of town. This announcement is important because these robberies have had a very unsettling and unnerving effect on the community, especially on that side of the city. We would also like to take this opportunity to commend and express our appreciation to the officers responsible for the arrest and the filing of the charges. The officers involved in the arrest were patrol officers Eddie Hernandez, John Castillo, Robert Ratzwicki, and Jason Alamo. The follow-up investigation was conducted by detectives Carlos Velez, Eddie Rodriguez, assisted by their supervisor, Sergeant Juan Beltran. They have all done an exemplary job in this matter, and I really commend them for it. And my hat's off to them. They've done a tremendous job on this. And even more importantly, we'd like to commend and express our appreciation to the citizens of the north side of East Chicago. We have stressed at Neighborhood Crime Watch meetings the importance of citizen participation and cooperation with the police department. Now, with the robbery of the Kentucky Fried Chicken, immediately, I think the communications section started getting lit up. You know what it was about? Our citizens calling in to give us information about the description of the suspects, description of their clothing, and their direction of travel, which made it a lot easier for the police officers to make this very important arrest. The investigating officers that are here will give you details of the arrest and charges filed with the Lake County prosecutor. I'd like to introduce them at this point. Sergeant Beltran, is he here?
Sir.
Sergeant Beltran. Detective Velez is here, and Detective Rodriguez.
During the course of my duty, I was assigned this case of robbery, and particularly one that occurred in East Chicago with the assistance of Detective Clarence Anderson and Detective Jose Carlos Velez assisting me in the crimes. At the time, we were getting patterns in the same vicinity at the same time, same method of operation, same description of the same, what we believe were the same possible suspects that were targeting the East Chicago side of the city. Amongst us, in our communications, we work in the same division, including Carlos Velez, who works in the juvenile division. Amongst and getting conversations with Sergeant Beltran and communicating what we have, what it's looking like, similar things. So we went out days prior, within this time of the apprehension, which was August 8th, the apprehension of the two suspects that I will later identify. We went to the communities, we went to specific restaurants within that location on Indianapolis Boulevard, advising them the method of operation, the description of the suspects, and what was occurring in our city. Initially, on July 26th, in the evening hours, a restaurant in the Chicago side on 5333 West Chicago Avenue by the name of Lupita's Restaurant, male individual, Hispanic, injured and robbed Lupita's and several individuals that were patronizing the restaurant at the time. Then we had a report on the 29th, 3 days later in the evening time, a restaurant on 4856 Indianapolis Boulevard by the name of Sharks was also robbed at gunpoint, same method of operation, possibly the same description of the male that injured and robbed Sharks. On August 5th, on Indianapolis Boulevard, Los Comales, which is located at 4841 Indianapolis Boulevard, at this time, two Hispanic males injured. One, just matching the description of the two prior robberies, was involved. We recovered a surveillance of the video. At the time, we, as a Detective Bureau Division, overlooked it. We studied it. We looked at it. We called possible witnesses in the two prior robberies if they can identify someone in this video, or if it's the same person, matching the same description. With the witnesses, they said yes. At this time, we had no names of identification, just description, like I said, the same method of operation. On August 8th, Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I would reiterate like what the chief said, thanks to the community in their getting involvement, we had an individual who called it in, 911, gave information to the communications of what was occurring, same method of operation, same vicinity, same possible suspects who were robbing Kentucky Fried Chicken. At that time, officers respond with the communications between individuals that got involved in the community, communications, which was, giving us the information as the police department patrolmen were able to apprehend 2 individuals in that community. We also had another community person that lived in the residence that also gave some more information over the 911 dispatch. So it was a job well done with the patrolmen at this time, following the advice of what dispatchers were receiving from the community. Without the community, and I've said this 100 times, I'll say it again, we need your help. There's plenty of police officers that live in this city, that work in the city, and we need more active members in our community to get involved, and to make it a little easier, like she said, to apprehend those who are inflicting pain and crimes against our community, which, if I can speak upon Chicago Police Department, we care deeply about our community. We live and work, a lot of us work here at the same place. At the time, the 2 individuals that were apprehended was a Juan Romo, R-O-M-O. The second individual was Jesus, general spelling, Escutia, E-S-C-U-T-I-A. At that time, we have, again, in our investigation, 2 possible suspects, and fortunately, through our investigation, we were able to tie 2 individuals to 2 of the robberies. One of the individuals I just mentioned was involved in all 4 of the robberies. It started off with Lupita, there was only 1 individual. Then it went to Sharks, 1 individual. Then when it went to Los Comadas, it was 2 individuals. And then when it went into Kentucky Fried Chicken, it was 2 individuals. The same 2 individuals that we apprehended that were involved in Los Comadas, the same individual that was involved in Kentucky Fried Chicken. Los Comadas was the same one that was in Sharkies that committed the crime in Los Comadas. I'm sorry, Lupitas. Yesterday afternoon, I was able to gather all the information. We all came together. We spoke as a division, division of criminal investigation. We gathered all our paperwork together. I compiled it together. We collaborated together. I took all this information that was given to me, the documentation of our investigation. I prepared it, presented it to the state prosecutor of Lake County, and at that time we received 8 Class B felonies of robbery, strong arm robbery. 1 individual that would be Juan Romo will receive 6 because of his involvement in all 4 robberies. Received 6 Class B felonies, and Jesus Escudia received 2 Class B felonies for the crimes that they committed in Chicago. At this time, the investigation is still ongoing, and they're placed, I believe, they should be at this time at the Lake County. They are served with the felony charges.
How old are they?
They're between the ages of 18 and 20.
What was the common link between the crimes? You said that you had eyewitnesses that identified them, but did they do something that made you start realizing there was a pattern?
The pattern that they had was the same location, same time, same description of the individual. When you're talking about method of operation, it's a handgun that was involved within the time frame that it was occurring, within the time zone. You're looking at between the 4100 block of Todd, or Lupita is actually the 4800 block of Indianapolis. We're talking 4 restaurants within an 8 block radius.
Do you have addresses for them?
for the individuals.
For the two individuals, are they from East Chicago?
They are currently from East Chicago,
Can you give us roughly an idea of what block or what area?
from the East Chicago side.
Just
From the area.
Can't narrow
From the
down to a
area.
numbered block or anything, can you?
It's from the area.
From the
where this
area where
occurred.
these robberies are.
Well, between 4100 and 4800?
Right.
All right.
From the East Chicago side of it.
Right. Do you have any prior records? Either one of them have prior records?
They were involved in certain incidents, but nothing of convictions at this time.
Steve, did you have something?
That was my question, their last residence.
When you say they were involved in previous, Sergeant, you say they were involved in previous incidents, but nothing of conviction. Can you narrow that down a little bit, be a little more specific about?
No, right at this time, I do not have their criminal history, and we do not provide that to the public at this time.
Okay, that's fine. You also said there were 4 dates. August 8th was KFC, August 5th was Los Comandos,
Yes,
and then July 29th was Sharks, July 26th was Lupitas. Now, Romo, was it Romo?
one
Romo was the one that was involved in all 4 of them.
correct,
And then Escutia didn't come in until the 5th and the 8th, is that correct?
correct.
Were they both armed?
At this time, it's still under investigation.
Where were they then apprehended after the KFC robbery?
Within the vicinity of KFC,
Nearby.
immediate area,
And they were apprehended on the 8th,
correct.
the day of the robbery, the case of robbery. You mentioned Romo had 6 Class B felonies between robbery and strong armed robbery. Is that correct, or is it all robbery charges?
All robbery charges.
The all considered robbery charges?
Yes.
And then Escutia was how many charges?
2.
2? All right, and both of them Class B.
Yes, sir.
Now, the Lupitas case, there was a council person, was it, I think, Councilwoman Orange, was that was she reported to having been part of that?
Yes, sir.
And the reason why these 2 individuals were apprehended so quickly is because of the involvement of the community. There were so many calls coming in that these individuals were trapped in the community. If they saw them running this way, they would call 911. If they saw them running that way, they would call 911. That's why the community played a big part in this, and so did the officers, because they were right there in the area. And that was the reason why they got apprehended so quickly.
Because it was actually pretty quick, I mean,
Yes.
from July 26th to August 8th is not a real long stretch of time.
Right.
It's 12 days.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very relatively short amount of time. Is it,